Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call the Traffic Commission hearing of November 18th to order. If you could please join me in a salute to the flag. Okay, thank you. Commission members present are Nicholas Rystrom, City Engineer, Chris Bright, Chief of the Fire Department, and Chief Callahan from the Police Department will be here momentarily. He's parking, but we have a quorum and we can get started. The first thing, we're going to open up the public hearing. We're going to take these a little bit out of order. We're going to start with number 5. Amend Schedule 8 of Title 10 parking restrictions generally by adding 843 Broadway 1-hour parking. Do I hear any proponents?
Hi, Julie DeMauro, Department of Planning and Community Development. This request came about from a grant program that we ran back in the spring of 2021, where we offered businesses technical assistance. One of the business owners had requested that that they be granted a 1-hour parking sign in front of their business. So that would be 543 Broadway, which is B&M Grill. The reason for that is because parking is so tight there anyway. There is a business that has some commercial vehicles that usually park in that spot, and they're usually parked there all day long. So the owner of the business is just asking for just a relief so that it's only 1-hour parking, so just a little turnover of parking so more of his customers can access the business.
Okay, thank you. Any other proponents? Okay, closing that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Anyone opposed to this change? Hearing none. Any comments from the commission or a motion to approve, either one?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so that has been passed. Number 6, amend Schedule 14 of Title 10 by removing the following bus stops. There's quite a few numbers here. And any proponents for removing these bus stops?
So again, Julie DeMauro, Department of Planning and Community Development. So back in the spring of 2011 again, the MBTA had decided to reroute the 411 bus route to make it a little bit more reliable and efficient for the route overall. This was part of a larger study, the Better Bus Program, that was conducted back in 2019. Through this route change recommendation, there will be some stops that will be eliminated. So those stops include 5768, 570, 5771, 35772, 35773, and 5774. Those stops are not being removed, but those stops will now be only serviced by the Route 116 bus line. Those are all located off of Revere Street. So the 411 will not be servicing them, and those stops will not be removed. The stops that will be removed are the 576, 15778, 5779, 5780, and 5781. I call attention to this because these are mostly the stops on Ocean Ave, and also a couple of stops at the tail end of Revere Street as well. But these stops that will be removed will be serviced by the 411 bus stop and an alternative stop, which is out a block away. So it's about a 5-minute walk from these additional stops that will be removed. So I want to clarify that because the original request was to remove all of those stops. So some of those stops are being removed, some of them are staying and being serviced by another bus route. Anybody have any questions? I have a gentleman here from the MBTA if you want any more specifics or
Okay, so
technical.
I'm just a little confused. You say that stops are being removed. So are there two different lines that stop at this same stop, and one bus will not be stopping at that but a different bus will stop there?
Correct,
So
right.
the whole stop isn't being removed?
Just for the first set of stops that I called out, there
Okay.
are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 stops on Revere Street.
Okay.
That will no longer be serviced by the 411 bus, but will be serviced by the 116 bus. And so those stops are staying.
Okay.
Okay? In the original request for a public hearing to remove them, we asked to remove those stops, but they don't need to be removed, they're staying.
Okay.
The stops that will be removed, like I said, are on Ocean Ave,
Okay.
and some near Beach Street. But they will be serviced by another stop for that bus route, the
Okay.
411.
So I'm just concerned about the impact on the public. So how will the public be affected, these people that normally use these stops? Is there another, maybe the gentleman from the MBTA can clarify this?
Sure. Good afternoon. My name is Robert Guptill. I'm the Director of Service Planning at the MBTA. So as Julie mentioned, the stops on Ocean Ave, several of them, if we can get your approval, we would like to establish new stops that the 411 would serve that would be close to these stops that we are eliminating on Ocean Avenue. And then you also have Wonderland Station that's kind of right in the middle.
Could you define close?
500 feet,
Okay.
so on, or something like that.
Okay.
And then you have Wonderland Station, that's kind of in the middle of all these stops on Ocean Avenue, that the 411, and this is why we wanted to make this routing change, the 411 will now serve Wonderland Station in both directions, so they could walk to Wonderland Station and pick up the 411 there as well.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other proponents for this? Any other people in favor of this? Hearing none. Any opponents to this situation?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ira Novoselsky, 53D Hone Street, Ward 2 Counselor. I've been watching what's been going on, and we did not hear anything. And they've already eliminated all the stops on Ocean Avenue and one on Beach Street across from Peter's Beef. And they had a little piece of paper on there that telling them that this stop isn't active anymore, which after the first day blew off, and I found people sitting there waiting for the bus, not knowing that this happened. And this is actually cutting off handicapped and elderly folks on the Ocean Ave between Beach Street and Revere Street. When I read their proposal, they were saying, well, some of the people have to walk 1,500 feet, some people have to walk 800 feet, some people have to walk 500 feet, depending on where they lived on Ocean Ave. You know, and to the new stop, the folks down near the Banana Boat would have to walk all the way to either the Wonderland Station or to Nehant Ave, or across from where Stearns Hardware used to be, that bus stop there. That's a long walk for some of the elderly, and a lot of those elderly folks have walkers. And that's why, you know, I have a concern about this. You know, I can see if they eliminated one or two of them on either end of Ocean Avenue and still give people some sort of sense of easiness. You know, the only viable thing that was done here was to hurt our residents. You know, the MBTA, we always work with them, and I worked with them about 6, 7 years ago when we did that other reduction of stops, and it seemed to work out, but we weren't hurting people to a point like this. And I don't think it's right. It's easy to say that they only have to walk a short distance. Some of these people can't do walking a short distance. And I think it's wrong, and I believe we're talking about the 5776, 15778, 79, 80, and 81. So it's the stops on Ocean Ave and the one on Beach Street that are affected. And I met with the MBTA this morning on the new company that's maintaining those bus stops. They didn't even know, this group didn't even know that the one on Beach Street across from Peter's Beef was being eliminated. And they have a stop there. And they were planning on upgrading
Okay.
the shelter, so. I'm against this, and I think the MBTA ought to rethink their thoughts on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further opponents?
Ralph DeChico, Revere Commission on Disabilities. I'm going to echo the sentiments that Councilor Novoselsky mentioned for those stops on Ocean Ave, the numbers that he has mentioned due to the fact not only for seniors, but for our residents that are disabled. If you take a look at the statutes for people that have handicap placards or handicap signs, and you take a look at what the obligations are that need to be met, it's anyone that cannot walk more than 250 feet. Now, by the MBTA wanting to eliminate stops, there is a distance of more than 250 feet. So that is taking away the right of people with disabilities and creating a much larger distance for people that are disabled to walk to a bus stop, not also including the distance that they're already trying to get to the bus stop from their homes. So this does, I don't want to throw out the word discriminate, but it actually does discriminate people with disabilities by removing some of these spots and making it a longer distance. I've been on several calls with the MBTA for that they're wanting to change some routes and try and create transfers to going from instead of creating more transfers to get from point A to point B, and also have been against that because of people with disabilities having to get off of one bus and then having to walk to go to another bus to get to a station because they're saying that they'd be able to accommodate more routes. But when you have a straight transition going from one point to another, it's a lot easier for a person with disabilities. So this would be the same case, but you don't want to eliminate these stops and spread them out a lot further for people with disabilities. So it's not only for seniors.
Thank you, Mr. DeChico. Any further opponents?
Council George Rotundo, 9 Dahone Street. This is the 411 map right now that I have up here. And quite frankly, taking those stops away would affect, if you take a look at the Census Bureau, those that are the most affected. The census block clearly delineates both the economics and the age within those groups. They're among the oldest and the poorest. And we're going to take away stops, in which it's inconvenient for them to walk. I've sustained multiple back injuries, I've had multiple back surgeries. Walking 500 feet hurts. And with that said, I'm not a 70-year-old person with a cane that have had multiple years as well. So I agree with Mr. DeChico as well as fellow Councilor Ira Novoselsky. I think that maybe they can go back to the drawing board and figure something else out. 411 accommodates, as I said, within the census block, if you look at it, particular group, particular economic group, a particular age group. And I would ask this body to table it or at least vote against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further opponents?
Thank you. Jerry Visconti, City Councilor. I just have one question regarding it. I guess I heard the removal of it, but I'm still uncertain why, and I don't know why it's being removed. I mean, we as a city emphasize transportation, and now it looks like we're removing some stops. It's contradictory, and I'm just trying to understand why we're removing these stops. That's all. Thank you.
All right, any further opponents? Do I hear a motion one way or another from the?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I actually had a few questions for the gentleman from the T. I'm not familiar with these specific numbers where they're located. I know they're on Ocean Ave, but 5776, that means nothing to me. Is there some sort of a map or a visual that you can provide that shows where they are, where the replacement alternative is planned to be, what the actual distances are between them, anything like that that we can sort of, review, further? Is there something available like that?
Just press your button there, sir, so we can hear you.
I believe we have a memo that describes all this that can certainly be circulated.
Okay. Yeah, that would be helpful. And the other thing too, so if I understand it, the first 6 are not being removed, they're just being removed from the bus route. These other 5 are physically being removed, correct? That's the,
The ones on Ocean Avenue.
okay. Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Rystrom, do you want to table this until you get further?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to table this until we have a little bit further information. Obviously, I'm not prepared at this time to inconvenience any of the elderly in that area.
All right. Do I hear a second to table?
I will second that.
Second, all in favor, all opposed? Okay, so we will get some more information. A visual will be very helpful as far as a map, so that would give us a lot of information that we don't have. Okay, and now we have number 7, amend Schedule 14 of Title 10 by adding a new stop at Revere Street and Bay Road. Any proponents?
So this was proposed in replacement of the stop at Ocean Ave and Revere Street. This would be the nearest new stop that would replace that stop that would be removed but now has been tabled. So I don't know if you want to table this motion until you have more information. I don't want to withdraw it because then we won't be able to bring it back to the table at all.
So,
And I also want to bring to the commission the attention that the other possible location for a stop to make up the deletion of the stop at Ocean Ave and Revere Street would be right at 320 Revere Beach Boulevard, which is right out front, the new, I think it's the Boulevard building. It's 320 Revere Beach Boulevard. But once again, I don't want to remove that as well because then we wouldn't be able to.
okay, so that's this part of the master plan, so we can table that also.
Okay.
And that when you create this information and create this visual, maybe you could give it to the council, or the council too, so they'll.
And I think it would also be helpful for everyone here to understand the number of boardings and the lighting, and then also to, as well, to know that the initial route of this with these stops is the stops are only in on one side of the route. So it's not like other bus stops where they're the reciprocal stop on the other side of the street for this route. So it's one way, these stops. So I think that will also help. And then I would assume at this point that the MBTA probably has some updated ridership data in regards to people boarding the stop and getting off of these stops
That
that
would
they're
be helpful too
proposing.
if you
So they can bring
added
that
that.
with them.
Perfect.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Counselor?
Thank you. Councilor Rotondo, 9 Home Street. So I'm assuming the Bay Road and Revere Street, if you could all answer me, is in regards to the development that it's at 571 Revere Street, as it's, basically we have the Ocean Ave area over there, the Elliott and so forth. And this is Bay Road, which is actually, if you look on your maps, and if people at home look at it, you'll see that it's right next to the 571, or the new, 571 Beach Street, which is a new development by the neighborhood developers. We're talking Revere and Bay Road, correct? It's Bay Road. Yeah, so this is exactly where we're talking about. And if the camera could look in, it's right here, right where 571 Revere Street is. On the other side of it, Sachem Street is on the opposite side.
So this
Yeah,
is
that's the same place.
This is the proposed stop for Revere
Right down
Beach
from
Boulevard.
Sullivan, okay, that's Sullivan Park,
And then,
which is the new building that's there.
yeah, I'm looking for it.
Oh.
Here it is. And then that would be the proposed new stop.
Right, that's
at
Bay Road, yep, yeah, we're talking the same place. So
Right,
this is
571.
571 right there, Sachem Street, so.
Okay, so Julie, you'll put that all in a package, get it to everybody, and thank you. Yes, Councilor.
If we as a community are working towards, as I believe in Councilor Visconti, if I'm incorrect in what I'm stating, correct me, working towards transit-oriented development projects, then ensuring that projects that are going to have, actual bus stops that are accessible for these projects is paramount. So I believe that's the plan here. I believe that's what the task is. There might be some nuances, and hopefully they can be worked out.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, moving on, we're going to go to item number 10, amend Chapter 10.32.180, angle parking by removing Chapter 1032.80, angle parking. Any proponents for this? Do you have a little, here's your,
We removed the section, the schedule already for the angle parking.
okay,
So there is no schedule for angle parking anymore.
okay.
So technically, we can do angle parking on the streets anyways. So let's just clean the ordinance up.
Just cleaning the ordinance up,
Cleaning it up.
okay. Did you want to, Counselor?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members, Ira Novoselsky, 53 Dillhorn Street. I'm the one that requested this, and when I looked in the chapter 1032-180, it talked about a schedule, and I couldn't find the schedule
Right.
anywhere. And that's when I reached out to Sergeant Janino, and, I believe that there was maybe only one, maybe two locations in the city that people park at do angle parking. And I have a gentleman here that lives on North Shore Road, and I think he wants to hopefully speak in favor of removing this thing, because where Stearns Hardware, everybody knows where Stearns Hardware was. That's the angle parking area we're targeting, and the cars actually back up into his vehicles. He lives directly across the street. And
Okay.
many times that people want to go south, even though they're facing north.
North, okay.
And they back up and they beat the heck out of his vehicles. So that's one of the reasons we want to pursue this and clean up the chapter.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you.
Any further proponents for this? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Hearing and seeing none, okay. Oh, okay, sure. Proponent. Just press your little button there and,
My name is Anthony Fruby. I live at 1465 North Shore Road. I've been there for over 30 years. The angle parking across the street at the old dollar store, they're just backing right up into my vehicles. On numerous occasions, my vehicles have been hit, and they just keep going. They don't leave anything. My insurance rates are up. I had a van totaled because somebody backed right into it.
Okay.
So forth and so on. It's insane over there. It's insane. I fixed my vehicle, they hit it again,
again.
and so forth and so on. I mean, that's all I have to add.
thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other proponents? Hearing and seeing none. Any opponents? Hearing and seeing none. Do I have a motion to approve the removal of angle parking?
So moved.
So moved. A second?
Second it, sir.
Thank you, Chief. All in favor, all opposed? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, that's been,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, will you be doing the proper signage there for parallel parking only?
we will certainly
If you
do
would.
that.
Because there is one sign at the southern end of the dollar store building, so if you can
It
move it.
still says
It
angle.
says angle parking there. Well, no, that says parallel parking, because
Okay.
from the corner down to that point is parallel parking. So if you move that one sign down to the next pole, I think it would work.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Counselor. We'll do that. Returning to the regular order of business, number 1, amend Schedule 9 of Title 10 Resident Parking Streets, 24-hour enforcement by adding Cross Street, the entire length, and Montfern, the entire length. Any proponents? Counselor McKenna, who couldn't make it this evening, wishes to be recorded as a proponent, and she sends the following letter. I will not be able to attend the traffic meeting. I'm going to speak on her behalf. These two streets are inundated with people using Beachmont Station and leaving their cars in front of residents' homes. I am requesting that the committee vote in favor of permitted parking 24/7 for these two streets. Thank you. Sincerely, Joanne McKenna, Ward 1 Counselor. Any further proponents? Hearing and seeing none. Any opponents? Anyone wishing to speak against this? Hearing and seeing none. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to amend, Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Agenzio.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Number 2, amend Schedule 9 of Title 10 Resident Parking Streets by adding 4 spaces in the Central Ave Municipal Lot 24/7. Are there any proponents wishing to speak in favor of this? Any proponents? Hearing and seeing none. Any opponents? Anyone opposed to this? Hearing and seeing none. I believe this was in response to the meters being put in the central parking lot, and people in Central Ave rear are claiming they don't have a spot to park any longer. Just
Just for the record, we do allow them to park overnight there already.
you allow them to park
We allow
overnight.
them to park overnight with the permit parking. If we allow 4 spots 24/7,
Right.
it can't be for certain houses. So it'll be anyone in that area or
Okay.
wherever can park in those spots.
Okay.
And I don't see that could be enforceable, to be honest with you.
Okay, you don't feel it's enforceable. Okay. Any comments from the commission? Do I hear a motion from the commission to either approve or deny?
Make a table for the council to come in again, for her opinion on it if you want.
Okay, yeah, do we have a motion to table?
Motion to table, please.
Motion to table, do I have a second?
Seconded.
Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. Number 3, amend Schedule 4 of Title 10, isolated stop signs by adding Rice Ave for northbound and southbound traffic at both Delano and Whitten Ave. Any proponents? Anyone wish to speak in favor of adding these stop signs? Hearing and seeing none. Any opponents to this?
Good evening. Gene Doherty, 255 Rice Ave. I'm opposed to these stop signs on Rice Ave. I don't belittle the persons or whoever submitted for the stop signs, but I don't believe that is the remedy to slow down the traffic. I know the council spoke at length the other night about the systems that I believe is in Everett and Somerville now. It's a larger speed bump per se, but it stops cars. And then they also talked about movable speed bumps. But I just wanted to know how they did, who or what determined these 2 placements of stop signs, because obviously, not in my backyard, but in my front yard, car's going to stop and it's going to accelerate. And then the next corner is a school bus stop. So they're just going to accelerate up into the school bus stop. And in my years that I've spent on the traffic commission, when we had straight roads like that, the stop signs just, we didn't ever seem to pass them because they were too inhibiting. And people are going to either negate even stopping at the stop sign, give a false sense of security, or just increase their speed for the stop time that they had. But I'm opposed to these. I did, the Delano one, I don't know, was that on it, do you know how that arrived at that one? Same, just added it in? Yeah. Well, anyways, I know that the one at Rice Ave in
Right.
both directions, is that right? That's proposal?
Right, they're at
Yeah.
Rice Ave, both
Yeah.
directions
Yeah.
at each intersection, one
Yeah.
at Delano and one at Whitten.
I get, maybe the ward councilor should have talked to everybody before it was proposed, and we could have maybe made a happy ground here somewhere.
Okay.
But I think, if nothing else, that we wait to see what the council's going to do with, like for Park Ave, Councilor Keefe talked at length about Park Ave, trying to get those, I don't want to call it a speed bump, but it's an elevated part of the roadway. It's about 8 feet.
Elevated crosswalk.
Yeah, the whole elevated crosswalk.
Okay,
So, thank you.
thank you, Chief. Any other opponents?
Hugo Rizzuto, 261 Rice Ave, right next to Gene. I'm the one that actually originated this stop signs. The whole thing came about, my granddaughter was walking across the street. A car was going down Rice Ave, 40 miles an hour, and almost hit her. I was talking to John Powers, and he suggested, some stop signs, and that's how the whole thing came about. And I see Gene's point where the cars are going to stop and then they're going to accelerate and so on. The objective here is not the stop signs. The objective here is to slow traffic down on Rice Ave. The speed limit is 20 miles an hour. Nobody observes the speed limit, okay? So we need to come up with some sort of solutions to slow the traffic down. Whether it's we put some temporary bumps in the road, whether we put some of those signs that tell you what your speed is, whether we improve the markings at the crosswalks, put some more speed limit signs, and then probably once in a while, Chief Callahan could probably put a patrol hiding in one of the side streets, maybe on Withen Ave. When cars go by, go get them, give them a $100 ticket, and they'll stop doing it. We need to come up with some solution to slow the traffic down. That's the bottom line. I'm opposed to the stop signs, and I see Gene's point, but I need you guys to come up with some solution to stop it.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you very
comments.
much.
Thank you. Any further opponents? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion from the commission? Do you want to deny this request?
We can deny that.
Motion to deny, a second?
Motion to deny.
Seconded.
Second? Okay, it's been denied. Number 4, amend Schedule 4 of Title 10, isolated stop signs by adding Prospect Avenue for westbound traffic at Homer Street. Anyone in favor of this? Any proponents? Hearing and seeing none. Any opponents? Proponent. Okay.
Knowing Prospect and Homer as you do, as
I
I
do,
do, clearly it's needed up there, so I support this 110%. Unfortunately, again, Prospect is a large stretch of area where people do speed from time to time, and if people from Homer don't stop, they're going to get the car's going to get clipped, and that's been the problem sometimes, so I support this.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further proponents? Hearing and seeing none. Any opponents? Hearing and seeing none. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just a question. This calls for a stop sign in just one direction
Yes.
and not one in the opposite direction. I think that if you're looking to put a stop sign at this intersection, then you need to slow down traffic both directions.
Both directions. Mhm.
So if it's the will of the council to approve, then I would suggest amending it by adding one in the opposite direction as well.
Thank you, Mr. Rystrom.
We'll second that.
Second as amended.
If you take a look at the map on Homer and Prospect, I'm not sure to understand the reason to put one there. Nick, do you know the area by chance? That's where Pat used to live, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up on the hill.
So if we put where would the other one be? So we put the stop sign at Prospect, and we're talking both on the right side and the left side, so them coming up and them going down, just to have it clear.
Right, so it would stop traffic on
Both ways.
Prospect in both directions.
Perfect. I wanted to make sure I was unclear. I thought you were putting on Homer. I'm like, I was confused.
There's one on home already.
Thank you very much.
So it would.
Stop the
be a-
racing up and down
It would be
Prospect.
a three-way stop.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to approve as amended, 2 stop signs in either direction?
So moved.
So moved.
Just for the record, the one on Homer Street is not recorded in the books.
Okay,
So we might as well put for three-way stop at Homer and Prospect.
okay, 3-way stop. Okay. Hear a motion for a 3-way stop at Homer and Prospect.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to amend this to add a stop sign on Homer, as well as one in the eastbound direction on Prospect.
Thank you. Second to the amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good.
Just to clarify, we're going
3-way stop.
three-way?
Now moving to number 8, amend Schedule 12 of Title 10 fire lanes by removing Naples Road both sides. Do I hear any proponents to removing the fire lanes on this road? Yes, proponent, you want these signs removed, you want the fire lanes removed. Oh, excuse me, press your button so we can hear you. Thank you.
My name's Ken LaFosse. I own Brothers Auto Body, 16 Naples Road. I own a 3-family house across from the body shop.
Okay,
This would be a big impact on my business and my house. I've been there for 35 years. Never had a problem with parking, in front of the house and stuff. At night, everything's cleaned up off the street. I don't know where this came from. All of a sudden, they just come down and put signs up that fire lanes that we can't park in front of my own house, in front of my business. I'm a taxpayer, I should be able to park in front of my own business, my own house, and my own property. I mean, I maintain the street, I plow it. I've been there for 35 years. Never a street sweeper came down, never a plow came down there. Nothing ever came down there. Now, all of a sudden, they just changing everything. Talked to the guy that owns the motel up there, Ken Patel. He don't want it. He definitely doesn't want it. He couldn't make it. He's out in New York. He couldn't make the meeting tonight.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. So just to be clear, the Traffic Commission did put fire lanes on both sides. When we went down there, there was a little agitation, so we only put signs on one side of the street. It seems as though somebody has taken the liberty to remove those. So I think the question comes, and eventually we're going to be hearing from the fire chief. So whether we have 2 sides or 1 side or none, I think that's what's going to be determined tonight. So do we have any further proponents for the removal of these signs, the removal of the fire lanes?
Councilor Judge Rotundo, again, I stand before you and ask what's changed in 35 years. When you take a look at the site itself, the entire area, you can access every single, I've got 2 videos that show the actual drive-through. And what I find elementary here is, in front of, the only thing that's changed is this new silver building, which has 2 tow trucks in front of it. And there's multiple cars in the lane and so forth, and I can play the video for you if you'd like, but I was able to access the entire area through Valvoline Instant Oil Change, as well as through 1045 Salem Turnpike, which is the Bikers Outfitter area, or for that matter, Action. Any which way that you go around this, the geography lends itself to firefighting from any perspective, from any geometry. Again, can someone tell me why there's a change after 35 years in the fire lane?
Okay, thank you.
No, I'm asking a question. I'd like to know why. Because.
Well, I believe it was done from the fire department, not able to get fire apparatus down the road. I think that was one of the biggest reasons for us doing that. Maybe Chief Bright can clarify
I
that.
would think that area, Counselor, going back a year or 2, was a big mess down there.
It's a big mess right now.
I drove down there this afternoon, I can show you my video.
Yeah,
Where there was a
same
car
thing.
parked right in the middle of the street with
Yeah.
no one in it, and I couldn't even get by.
Right.
I had to wait for them to come out and move the car, because there was nowhere, because there was cars parked on both sides.
Right.
And I think it's still a problem down there. I don't know if it's necessary to
I mean-
both sides of fire lane,
When they put
but someone
Ryder
decided to
truck-
take the signs down for the fire lane, so there are no signs down there right now.
So,
I mean, when you look at this, I mean, you've got Ryder trucks and other trucks over there, so I get that point.
okay.
And
So you're a proponent for having these removed?
I am, because
Thank you.
you brought up the issue of the signs being taken down. I think the enforceability is going to be the issue.
Thank you. Any further proponents for having these signs removed?
Good evening, my name is Giovanni Ciccone. I'm actually here on behalf of my father, who owns property on 26 Naples, Luigi Ciccone. Again, to further on what Kenny said, having our business there, our employees, some park there in the morning, you know, on our side respectively. We also get equipment through, so having a fire truck come down, I feel as though we've had large equipment drive down there, being able to turn in the gates. I mean, I don't see why a fire truck wouldn't be able to get through. As, you know, we have, again, big equipment that's had to pull in the gates, never had an issue. Respectfully, like Kenny said, we try to keep it clean, we try to maintain the property, the street, and again, over 35 years, I mean, like he said, it's never been an issue, nothing's ever been changed, it's always been clean, clear, and I feel like even now, more over the last few years since we purchased the property, it's been maintained even better. You know, my father agrees, obviously, the same behalf as mine, and, yeah.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Any further proponents for having these fire lanes removed? Please press the button. Yeah.
I'm Andrea Garcia. I'm representing Valentin's General Contracting at 22 Naples. So we've been affected by this, you know. Our customers, they come down to my office, you know, my work, that's where I work all day. They come down to the office, sign a contract, whatever, have a conversation. Now I'm having to go to the nearest Dunkin' Donuts, you know. Like that's probably what I'm gonna have to do, you know, if nobody wants people to park there. So it's definitely gonna affect us. It's affecting us now.
Okay.
So I definitely think we should, there shouldn't be fire lane on both sides or one side, whatever it is that,
Okay.
you know. All right, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any further proponents for having these fire lanes removed?
Hi, my name is Jilson Silva. I actually lease the property on 425 American Legion Highway, which the garage door is on the back, right in Naples Road. And like Kenny said, we always take care of plowing that area there. We can actually clean up the whole, from the hotel all the way down Naples Road. We take care of that property, and we always trying to maintain it. And at night, we always have the cars out. But some of the employees, they park on Naples Road, so it will affect us, you know, a lot, you know, because some of the employees that we have, they use that little area there. So, but the maintenance of the Naples Road, we always kind of pitch in together over the winter, and we try to, you know, plow that street completely clean, and so it will affect us.
Thank you very much for your comments. Any further proponents? Any further? Okay, I just want to read into the record a letter that was sent by Councilor Marabito. He wishes to speak in favor of removing these fire lane signs, and he states, I write this testimony to the Honorable Commission as a proponent to amending Schedule 12 of Title 10 fire lanes by removing Naples Road on both sides. There is one business currently in operation with a physical building. Fire lanes on this part of Naples Road will negatively impact the business, especially since the existing parking conditions at this location has remained the same for over 3 decades. This business that has been in existence for over 30 years, this business is also up to fire code with fire sprinklers. This portion of Naples Road has always received minimal attention in regards to road pavement and snow plowing over the past 30 years. I ask this Honorable Commission not to disrupt an establishment after 30 years in our city. Also, the property owner of the houses located adjacent to this road is also the owner of the very same business that will specifically impact. Naples Road is not a highly traversed road and is a budding residential area, has a very low density population of residents compared to the majority of residential areas abutting existing businesses. Please accept my letter as a proponent for this amendment. That was from Councilor Marabito. Do I hear any further proponents for having these removed? Hearing and seeing none, do we have anyone opposed to this being removed?
Are we to opponents at this point?
This is opponents, yes.
Okay, I mean, let's have a little history here, you know. The place is a complete mess. It's been a complete mess for 35 years. We all know that. You know, this wasn't even in place long enough for a pilot program. I mean, this is absurd to want to remove the fire lanes there. It was put there for a purpose, and a lot of us looked this over and saw what a disaster waiting to happen this street was. I think it should be signed on both sides. I think it should be striped. I think it should be fire lanes on both sides. It's a public safety issue. Now, I don't want to get into whose signs are on the fence and all this stuff. We're not going to get into any of that crap. This was a public safety issue. That's why myself and my vice president supported this. Not because we have anything personally against these people. This is to try to save lives. You know, I know that's what we do up here, and I think it would be a miscarriage of justice if we went back and said, well, this has all been fine for 35 years, revisionist history here. It certainly hasn't been, and the hotel that's there now makes it even more dangerous. And I don't care who says they're not for the fire lane for convenience, but the fire lane wasn't put there to inconvenience anybody. It was to try to save lives. God forbid there's a fire there or any other emergency for that fact. So I stand here in deep opposition to removing this fire lane, and I think we should stripe it and make it real fire lanes and enforce it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further opponents?
Councilor Jerry Visconti, 29 Case Drive. Thank you. This motion was presented by Council President Mr. Zambudo and the ward councilor as well as myself, not intentionally to affect any businesses down there. Okay, that's first and foremost, okay? The reason this was placed is because of the complaints that were coming from people in and around that area, number one. And number two, the fact that it is a public safety for the city. People have said that they take care of that place, and it's been like that for 30 years. Why change it? Well, it's been like that, and it's been a disaster for 30 years, doesn't mean that we continue that, okay? We move forward, we make changes to correct the problem. Now, the fact of the matter is, I drove down there as well, Chief, this morning, okay? I could barely get my F-150 by. Like you said, there was cars parked right there, parked right in front. People are parking wherever they like, okay? This is because of the disregard, okay, of the public safety in that area. So just because it was wronged for the last 30 years doesn't make it right, and we should just let it go, okay? The fact of the matter is there is a house across the street on Naples Road. That too has about 10 to 15 cars in the driveway in that lot. And you know, when I drove by there and I saw that, all those cars there, I was wondering if that person needs a permit to hold all those cars there, because that's a residential house, okay? Some of those cars probably have been there for many, many years. It looks terrible, okay? That area needs an uplift, okay? If anything, nonetheless. The reason for it is solely because of the fact that it is a public safety. They're parking wherever they want. So I don't want to hear that people are taking care of that while I go by there and I can't even get my vehicle by there. So it's a complete lack of consideration for the city as well as the other people trying to get by to the other businesses. So I am in favor of keeping it. Okay, the fact of the matter is, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned that poles have been put up there, and now they are taken down, and I'm going to assume that it wasn't from the city. The city didn't take that down. So the fact of the matter is somebody, I'm not accusing anybody, but somebody in that area took the liberty of just taking down something that the DPW put up. That's a complete lack of respect for the city. That's all. So I appreciate the time and the leeway. I am in favor of marking those lanes and keeping both fire lanes in there, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further opponents to removing these? Any further opponents? Okay, do I have a comments from the commission or the fire chief or?
Yeah, just like Councilor Visconti said, we've had a lot of problems down that area over the years. This didn't just come, these fire lanes weren't put in place just to inconvenience people or hurt businesses. And we had a pretty serious fire there years ago, a five-story storage facility right at that very location when I was a young firefighter, and we couldn't access it at that time either, that area. So nothing seems to have changed too much over the years down there. I know the city's been going down there trying to clean up a lot of the illegal parking, I saw cars jammed all around that area, around the billboard, underneath, surrounding it, up against the fences, the properties. I don't even know how someone could walk down that street. I mean, literally cars left in the middle of the street. So, again, I'm opposed to taking down the fire lanes.
Okay, so are you making a motion to deny this request?
Motion to deny.
Do I hear a second?
Mr. Chairman, just before we vote, just a question on, so right now we show it as a fire lane on both sides. Is there any opportunity for access, let's say if there was a fire lane on one side, as opposed to removing them completely?
That's certainly within our jurisdiction. If you would like to make an amendment to this motion, you certainly can.
In regards to that?
Sure.
Okay. If we do the fact that we just push and make it one fire lane on one side, the only thing you're doing is pushing the problem to the other side. And it's just not going to work that way. Okay, they're going to squeeze as many cars as they can on that side, and it becomes a parking problem over there. So I would be opposed of just one side being marked as a fire lane. I think the proper way to fix the problem, okay, and have it hit home, because it hasn't hit home yet. Because obviously the fact that somebody took the poles down, okay, they didn't really care about what was being done. So I think the proper thing to do would be to mark both sides with the fire lanes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate the leeway. I know this is improper.
Right.
We had some improper questioning back and forth during the public hearing, so I guess I can bend the rules a little bit too. We proposed a fire lane on both sides, which was never allowed to work because of the disrespect for the law. Okay? Simply that. And now, we're talking about rewarding the people who took down the signs and disobeyed the signs with making it one side. It's not going to work on one side. The fire chief was pretty adamant about his position, and I feel that's the way it should stay. And I can't see anything else for public safety.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Okay, so if you could just be brief, I have allowed the public hearing to,
I believe in a public hearing, you're allowed to ask questions either as a proponent or opponent, I mean, if I'm not mistaken. But that said, I mean, here I am driving down the street, there's a car passing me on the other side, I can play it with a Ryder truck at the only thing that's changed within the past 35 years, which is a new building that's right there. That's the only thing that's changed, is that new building there. And when you take a look at the actual building itself, it's a heavy truck repair building. It's the only thing that's changed, brand new.
Okay.
Tow trucks are in front of it too. I'm more than happy to mention the name.
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, so the public hearing is closed. The comments by the commission. Mr. Rystrom, you had proposed an amendment. Do you want to go forward with that amendment, or would you care to withdraw it?
So it was really more of a question as opposed to an amendment. My interest really is the public safety, and so the reason for the question is that if you have it on one side, is there access that the fire department can utilize, or is it still a situation where fire apparatus can't get down the street unless they have both sides? And that's really where, my question came from. So I guess maybe that's a question for you, Chief. Do you see that that one side would be enough for access? Because for me, I mean, I understand the parking issues, but I really think that the interest of public safety and the fire protection really should be the first priority when we're talking about access to any of the streets in the city.
Okay.
I would say considering public safety, pedestrian traffic down there, as well as vehicle traffic, I would say the fire lanes and both sides should stay.
Do I hear a motion to approve or amend? Do I hear? Okay. Well, a motion to deny, yes.
We have a motion to deny, is that right?
Yes. Need a second.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor? Aye. This motion has been denied. The fire lanes will stay on both sides. Thank you. Going to number 9, amend Schedule 11 of Title 10, handicapped person parking areas by adding 13 Henry Street. Anyone wish to speak in favor of a handicapped spot at 13 Henry Street?
Mr. Chairman, 13 Henry Street, I had sent all the members of the chair all the pictures and my findings at this location. All the paperwork that was submitted was proper.
Okay.
As long as there's no outstanding tickets, through the traffic commission would know that. My feeling this application should be approved for a handicap installation. But as always, the traffic commission has the final say and jurisdiction for the approval.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve a handicap parking spot for 13 Henry Street?
So moved.
So moved. Second? Second, please.
Second.
Second. All in favor? Okay, that's been approved. The second one is handicap person parking for 66 Tedford. Anyone wish to speak in favor of a handicap spot for 66 Tedford? You want to push your button there?
Mr. Chairman, Ralph DeChico, Revere Commission on Disabilities. I've also sent all the paperwork and findings to the commission members, and I've also supplied photos of the residents. And the resident has also supplied pictures and a note there. There is a driveway and a garage at the premises, but the applicant stated that the owner of the home does not allow him to use it. So, but I did not receive a letter, but he also mentioned that I think he may have spoken to Sergeant Janino on this, The only other issues that I have, if you look at the paperwork that's submitted, is the vehicle, which is a pickup truck, it's registered to a business that states that it's not registered or garaged in Revere. So I wasn't able to get any clarification on that. So in the vehicle, I don't think has a Revere parking sticker on it, so I'm not sure on that. But if that can be cleared up, and the other issue is that through the paperwork, they stated that they wanted to put a handicap sign on the side street, but by law, there is not enough distance to put a handicap sign there, because they do have the driveway there that they're saying that they can't use, and that it's adjacent to the intersection. So if a handicap sign was able to be granted, it would have to go to the front on Tedford Street, because there's not enough distance for it. But I don't have clarification on those other issues. So
When you say it doesn't have distance on Tedford, what is?
there's not enough footage, because you have to stay so many feet from the intersection.
Right.
And there would only be 5 feet.
Okay.
4 or 5 feet that would be left to where the driveway is to put a handicap sign.
Okay. All right, thank
So
you.
that's why I supplied the pictures for that.
Thank you. Yes, sir?
Good afternoon. I'm representing the applicant, Ernest Latanzi. I'm the owner of the home.
Okay. Just state your name.
Robert Mercurio,
Thank you.
66 Tedford Ave. The vehicle is registered. The registration is in Winchester, the company, but the principal garaging is Revere, 320 Charger Street. I have a copy of the registration. He does have a handicap placard. In the location that he's looking for the sign is on Oakwood Ave, which is probably 50 feet from the intersection, and that's where his door to his home is, on the driveway side of the house. So between the corner of the house of Tedford Ave to where he's parking is probably 50 feet.
Okay.
So there's plenty of room, and then it's parked before my driveway.
Okay.
And then there's 40 feet in front of that. And the reason for that is that's where his door is. The driveway is for my vehicle, so if he parks in the driveway, I don't have access to get out. I have a copy of his handicap placard.
Okay.
And I'm also the manager of City Rentals that he works for.
Okay.
So I have the card, which is a Caruso company,
Okay.
which is located at 320 Charger Street, Revere.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we have a little bit of a, so this, first of all, did we clear up where this vehicle is registered, or?
The vehicle's garaged out of Revere, registered out of the Winchester address.
Okay,
But this is, I'm familiar with the person requesting the sign and stuff,
okay,
and there is a need for this sign, just for the record.
okay. And the place that this person would be parking, is it a legal spot?
So we were parking already anyways for the last 5 to 10 years.
Okay, all right. Do I hear any motion as to? A
A
motion to?
motion to grant it?
A motion to grant it?
Yes.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second? All in favor?
The only issue with that is you're not following ADA requirements by putting a handicap sign for the distance, and you have the intersection there. So if somebody calls and complains, the ADA is gonna come down on the city of Revere, and we're not meeting the requirements for a handicap accessible spot and space, and then we're gonna get in trouble for that. So that's all I'm saying, there's not enough space from the intersection. You cannot have a vehicle parked 10 feet from an intersection. If you put the handicap sign there, there's not enough space to put it. The front of the car has to go with the handicap sign. So the handicap sign has to go 10 feet from the intersection. When you put the handicap sign there, then it's gonna protrude into the driveway. That's what I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I had a question. I don't understand when they say that it's not 10 feet from the intersection.
No, you're not supposed to park within 20 feet of an intersection.
Right, and it's
So
not.
if you put the sign there and the car parks behind that sign, Mr. DeChico was saying that it would block your driveway.
No, it does not block my
It does
driveway.
not block your
The parking
driveway.
space is before my driveway, and there's 2 spaces behind he parks his vehicle there, which he's been parking for 10 years.
Okay.
And there's another space behind him. And then there's my driveway, and then there's 20 feet to the intersection. And the gentleman can't walk from here to that door, you know.
Okay.
So that's what the problem is.
Okay, I believe the commission there is researching it.
We got meters on Broadway, right on intersections.
Actions, right,
I mean, it depends on the traffic commission,
right.
so I was putting it there.
Having a little caucus here, so we'll. Okay. Okay, so I think we've cleared it up. Are we? No. Okay, all right. So has the confusion been cleared up?
Absolutely, Mr.
Okay,
Argenzio.
thank you. All right, so all in favor? Aye, okay, so that sign has been granted.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. The next one on the list is 74 Victoria Street. Any proponents? Mr. Chichico?
74 Victoria Street. Once again, I attached all the information. Unfortunately, since parking was not allowed on that side of the street, it does not meet the ordinance requirements. There's no parking allowed in front of that house.
Okay.
So due to the ordinances, that one couldn't have been approved for a handicap sign. But it's to the will of the council.
Okay, so there's no parking on that side of the
There's
street?
no parking on that side of the street.
Okay, so they're requesting a handicap sign for a side of the street that there's no parking.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to deny.
Deny, thank you. Second?
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor? That one's been denied. And the last one is 104 Harris Street. Any proponents? Mr. DeChico?
On 104 Harris Street, just have too many emails, I'm sorry. This one, all the necessary paperwork has been checked and meets the requirements. There is a driveway and a garage, but it's not handicap accessible. It's very small. No vehicles can go into the driveway there, which is actually on the side street. The other thing on this one, as long as there was no outstanding tickets, and then I don't think you found any, Sergeant Janino, my finding is that it meets all the ordinances and it should be approved for a handicap sign, but of course, it's the jurisdiction of the Traffic Commission to approve it.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Approve. Second?
I'll second that.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
No, putting it on.
The public hearing side of this meeting is over. We are now moving on to requests. Councilor Giannino requests to amend Schedule 9 of Title 10 isolated stop signs by adding a three-way stop at Ellerton and Argyle Street. Do I hear a motion to move this to a public hearing?
So moved.
So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 2, Councilor Keefe requests to amend Schedule 9 of Title 10 isolated stop signs by adding Burbank Street at Mountain Avenue for southbound traffic on Burbank. Do I hear a motion to move this to a public hearing?
Motion.
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 Seconded.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, amend Schedule 11 of Title 10 handicapped person parking areas by adding 34 Page Street and 12 Hitchbond Street. Do I hear a motion to move that to a public hearing?
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Number 4, amend Schedule 9 of Title 10 isolated stop signs by adding Mill Street at Vinyl Street, a four-way stop sign, a four-way stop, excuse me. Do I hear a motion to move that to a public hearing?
Motion to move to a public hearing.
Good. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and last, amend Schedule 9 of Title 10, Resident Parking Streets by adding Haddon Street 24/7. Do I hear a motion to move that to a public hearing?
Motion.
Motion? Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, that concludes the business for this evening. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Happy Thanksgiving, Commissioners.
You too. I'm gonna go outside and see if I have a scratch on my car.